Good to have your company on the sounding board for Drinkwise. If you're choosing to drink, choose to drink wise. Tuesday morning, it's the day we like to do this show. If our diaries align, they do today. Episode 14, Series 11. Damian Barrett with you, Craig with you, CEO Craig with you, and also another person I see in the studio today, Hutchie, by the name of Hugo. Good morning to you, first of all, CEO Hutchie and Craig.
Hello, Damo. Gee, you like to go behind the curtain nice and early, don't you?
Thought we'd get it out of the way straight away.
Is there no mystery left in the world of audio?
Hutchie, there's a little intimate gathering we have in this lovely studio here, and there's another person I don't know who's just barged in with you.
You met Hugo on the way in?
I met Hugo in the lift, but we didn't talk to each other, and I thought, this guy's getting in early. He's up on level 5 where the studios are. I didn't know him until you bring him in and introduce me to me as your, can I quote him, or do you want to quote him?
No,
yeah, as my,
it's a private conversation.
Can I say it or not? As my AI man.
No, Hugo is he's doing a bit of work for me, Damo, and for us to trying to get me just to pick holes in the way I operate.
CEO Craig's talking now. CEO Hutchie's now. Can you talk as just Craig?
Yeah,
with Hugo.
Well, it's a modern world, Damo, and if you're not improving, you're in what's the word? You're going backwards.
You're looking in the revision mirror?
It's early in the morning.
You're looking in the revision mirror, I think they're saying.
I need him a cafe.
We might try and get Hugo a headset, not for off the top of the show, but maybe later in the show to talk about what he's doing.
In simple terms, Damo, if you don't get yourself AI match fit in business, you're in trouble. And so I'm just trying to learn.
You're big on it. I know that when we had that time together back in Dallas.
It's not a choice. You've got to get yourself match fit. So I wanted to get some critiquing done by someone a bit more contemporary who can pick holes in the way I operate. And so that's just a bit of an experiment. And so I thought the best way to do that was to throw Hugo into my life for a week.
Okay, just for a week. Yep. Well, we might get Hugo on. If you're happy to, Hugo, later on, we'll get you a headset and just...
and ongoing.
Because everyone's intrigued about your life, Hutchie. I've known you a long time now and we're mates, but I'm still intrigued by your life.
Have you ever rolled shotgun with anyone? You've had a lot of journalistic duos, haven't you? You've gone on double investigations with people and...
A few, yeah.
Who were your rolling mates as a print journalist? Gerald Timms?
Oh, Timsy, yeah, from way back, yeah. Yeah, partner in crime.
Timsy worked on joint stories together?
Probably not as many as we...
you and Mitch?
Mitch Cleary, yes, yeah. Mark Stevens.
You and Robbie Durazio had an era working together as journalists?
We did. I came across from the Herald Sun to work with you, hoping that would be the case, Hutchie, and then the moment you got me to agree to it, which I was very excited about, you then went off and became a businessman and left me by myself.
I would like to
Which wasn't a great idea.
Damo, I have a reasonable grip on my flaws, and there are many. And one of them is I'm not as far progressed in this space as I'd like to be. Well, so I'm trying to accelerate that growth. What do they call it now in footy? It's a growth opportunity. Strengths and weaknesses through the window in my office from the Brisbane Lions. Weaknesses would have said there are people far more progressed at AI.
You could have filled a whiteboard with your weaknesses, I think, not just the one little reference.
It'd been like a movie. Look, like credits on a movie.
Let's start there because there are a heap of sounding board friendly topics for us to get through. I want to get to Hugo later on, so we'll try and get 5 minutes later in the show. What did you make? I haven't seen or heard what you've said about it. I didn't have strong views about the whiteboard of the Brisbane Lions. Just for those catching up with the story, football club in the AFL, obviously playing Essendon on the weekend. Whiteboard was photographed by a parent of a Auskick member and then distributed through social media, highlighting the weaknesses and the positives of the opposition coming up. And I had no issue with it, Hutchie, personally, and even with the referencing to the partner of a player, I thought it was done in the context of a club just reviewing and assessing an opponent.
Yeah, well, there was things there you wouldn't have said or done if you'd thought anyone else had seen it. And hopefully a little bit of a wake-up call for everyone probably to don't be as casual with your language because that bit was inappropriate. But it's what do you think about the fan taking the photo through the window? Is it fair and reasonable?
I didn't like it, but I'm not going to judge that person for doing it. I can imagine the excitement in that person's being when it was a he, wasn't it? Not a she, it was a he. Yep. Noticed it, and again, this is the world we live in, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say to you, if you think about, if you write something on a whiteboard and leave it there, you are publishing it. It is no different to what Mitch Cleary went through on the weekend.
Yes.
This is the microphone's always on version of print, right?
Yeah.
If you write something and leave it on a whiteboard, you can't then be angry at who read that and distributed that because you've left it there.
Yeah. Well, you and I know that, and you've been saying that regularly.
The microphone is always on.
The hot mic moment, yeah.
And the whiteboard is always active, Damo.
But people who don't work in media, they think they know that, and they have that in the back of their minds, yes, that's the case. But when it blows up on them and gets big, they don't have that recognition of it.
It's really hard to do. You know, we had a conversation for 3-4 minutes before we started recording this morning that we shouldn't have. So it is an easy mistake to keep.
That conversation would have had 10 front page stories.
So it's an easy thing to keep lurching into. So the microphone is always on.
But there's microphones in every building, every office in this building, Hutchie. And I've just noticed you hit record on that little device you've got attached to your phone as part of Hugo's project. This conversation's obviously being recorded in these microphones, but your phone's recording me right now.
Yeah, I wanted to take notes on everything you said so I can hold you to account in the future.
It's probably a bit late.
My Claude already has an algorithm that's fitted to you, so it's already priced in your cynicism into the notes.
That's how advanced it's got.
And your disdain for Melbourne. So it knows you better than I know you, Dave.
Oh, hang on. You want to go there now? I want to go to your big comments.
I think, in short, you leave a whiteboard with writing on it.
Yeah.
You do the crime.
Yeah.
That's with whiteboards, by the way. Anytime
you're a big whiteboard operator.
I love a whiteboard. In fact, when we moved into this building, I instructed the whiteboards to be built into the walls. Do you know that? So there's some walls in here that are actually whiteboards. That's true. You wouldn't spot them or notice them, but some of them have. Others were meant to, but didn't. That's another story.
Yeah.
With whiteboards, I always think this: the things that you write on a whiteboard that you really want to value and keep, someone always mistakenly rubs out, don't they?
Yeah.
The things you don't want seen by anyone,
they'll write in.
They never get rubbed out. They're always left there, and the wrong person always sees them. It's like there's a whiteboard. There's a whiteboard higher power that punishes you for your whiteboard actions.
What about those whiteboards that were introduced? And every office, I think, now has got them, where you can actually screenshot it effectively. Yep. But no one ever does. And then the technology attached to that doesn't work. And then someone will then use the indelible black texter on the whiteboard, which can't be rubbed off immediately.
I'm the worst at that.
Okay.
Why do they even have those? Who actually? What was the objective of the whiteboard text that doesn't come off? Have you ever known anyone that aspired for that outcome?
Well, texters once upon a time when they're introduced, Hutchie, were for the purpose of not being erased.
Yep.
And then we started introducing texters which were meant to be erased. Hey, remember the whiteboard little presentations you occasionally, not every Thursday night, but occasionally gave us pre-footy show back in the Bendigo Street days? You were on that transition period when you were becoming the media mogul, and I was maybe that first year I had that little contract to four or six appearances, and you were sort of, but then you like to get up and do your stand-up routine, as you often can do, and Gary, me, Sam, and you just decide a topic and then just using the whiteboard. And again, you wouldn't want that published these days,
are
you?
I'm a bit of a sucker for drafts and that sort of thing.
As a draft, drafts. You used to bring down the entire industry.
Hey, Damo,
I'll move off that. Yeah.
Your thoughts on Nick Foote? Can I just ask you on that one? That's been the other big topic of the last 24 hours, and Sportsbet have cut ties with him in the wake of the umpire saga. So that's ended with his want to go to the tribunal, really sliding doors, to use your column, creating his exit from his employer.
What I did find interesting, Hutchie, and I'm keen to get your view on this. I keep saying I punt every week. I don't punt on sport, but I punt on the races every week.
You're not a fan, yeah.
I will try and get the quaddy every week and don't. But I just want to raise that because I'm not anti-gambling. I love gambling. I'm just a bad gambler, and I bet within my limits, and I validate it in my own head and maybe with my conversations with Janine. It's entertainment, okay?
But you're not a fan.
No, but I want to say that. I'm not anti-gambling. I love it. Since I'm about 14, I've been betting every Saturday, and I shouldn't admit that, but I probably have. But it's small amounts, and it doesn't do any damage to me. I did notice yesterday the reason Nick Foote is no longer working with Sportsbet, it was a decision made by Sportsbet, not the AFL officially.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, if you look at the new wagering laws, and we obviously A, they get to be passed in legislation, and B, there's still a lot of clarification in them about talent and ambassadors, right?
Right.
So it's already a grey line in the new legislation that will need to be tightened.
Okay.
As an example. Is Nathan Brown just a very established Sportsbet presenter after 10 years who's knowledgeable and adds great value? Well, yes, he is, of course.
Yep.
But because he's an ex-footballer, does that disqualify him, or is he considered to be an endorser of the brand versus just someone that adds value to it? They're the type of things that are probably still yet to be ironed out in the legislation. As best I can read, I'm no expert. So I think anything that has a perceived overlap in compliance or in governance or optics, or there'll be a conservative approach taken by the industry as it works through this legislation. And that just felt like a little bit of one of those ones. I mean, the Sportsbet, to their own words, have said they won't feature any current administrators or officials in their programming to ensure clear separation from their role. So I think that speaks a little bit to that philosophy of removing any perceived grey area. Now, do I think that he was doing anything wrong? No, absolutely no. Do I think he added great value to Sportsbet as an identity? Yes. But there's just a conservative decision given the climate.
But the AFL itself having no issue with it. Now, again, I've debated this with the AFL on air and off air over many, many years. I was part of the media crew when wagering came in big time into the sports betting and the protocols in place with that. And the distancing itself of the game with people involved with betting. Now, then, early 2025, just to complete the timeline on this, Nick Foot was provided opportunity by the AFL and allowed to have this connection with Sportsbet as an umpire of the game itself. Now, I can't imagine that being the case 20 years ago when this betting started to take off with the perception and the optics.
Yep.
And is that fair to say?
Yep. Yeah. And a lot of people listening to this would say, well, okay, if you had to pick between one of the two, which is largely what's happened here, you would think. Because I think if he'd walked into Sportsbet and said, I'm all in, I'm out of the umpiring, I want to keep developing my persona and get on. I'm going to back myself. That would have Sportsbet valued him. It was just the double role that got uncomfortable.
Yep.
And the reason for that, just to touch on it, if I can, is because what people miss is the AFL umpiring is a very well paid part-time job. It's a much better part-time paid job than media is. In fact, I would go further and say AFL umpiring is one of the best part-time jobs in the country. If you look at what umpires earn versus...
What do they earn?
Well, I'll get to the actual numbers by the end of the podcast. I'll get the double agent to run this. We have done it in the past, but I'll get it run. But what I don't understand is why we don't market that harder as an industry. Like we talk about the umpire crisis. Why don't we say, come and earn a lot of money or significant money as your side hustle and don't give up your job. That's the marketing campaign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Australia's best paid side hustle. Bang. You get to stand in the middle of the MCG on a Saturday. You get to see the greats up close. You get to become famous. You get to go to the big games, and then you get to go back to your job on Monday morning and brag about it. Look, there's a marketing campaign screaming out in what a great part-time profession this is.
As often happens on this show.
Why are we so obsessed with going full-time? Just actually amplify and you'll get a better quality of people go, you know what? You're exactly right. If I'm the best umpire, I can earn $200,000 a year and not have to give up my job as a lawyer on a Monday. Now, there'll be people that say you don't realise how much time it is, and I know there's a lot of discretionary time effort, and I respect that. But from a marketing sense, why doesn't the industry put up in lights what a great part-time job this is?
As often happens on this show, this conversation is going down a different path, but I don't mind it. So rather than
that, or
I'm just trying to
see the campaign.
I'm trying to analyse it, and I probably need AI to help me analyse it quickly for the purposes of this conversation. So
what I'll do, Hugo, can we make an action out of this? I always wanted to say that. So, AFL umpires' salaries varied, but they earn between $40,000 and $150,000 a season. Boundary umpires are less. So field umpires approximately $120,000, $130,000 a year average, and then finals, and then it's not bad side money.
So you're arguing as a part of this. I would still love
to see full-time umpires, and at least
well, that's what I was going to say.
10 or 12 of them.
Promote the side hustle, not the full-time.
No, you go, look, we're going to have 6 or 8 or 10 specialists, and then we're going to have a lot of better paid or well paid. I think those numbers might be a bit old, by the way, W. I think they're a bit better.
Oh, he's questioning the numbers W's produced.
What we'll do this week is we'll make an ad, and we'll distribute the sounding board wide umpire ad.
When you mention Nathan Brown's involvement with Sportsbet, as you
shouldn't have used Nathan as the example on that. It was the most obvious one I could think of. Yeah. Yep.
What about then Kane Corns' involvement with the same organisation, having roles with selections of all Australian teams, which you can wager on, and also the Rising Star? I'm assuming the same panel does the Rising Star as well, but which you also can wager on. And then not just that involvement, but discussing the candidates for those honours on radio.
Yeah, I don't. You're obsessed.
No, I'm not.
Absolutely. So you had to bring this back to Kane.
You raised Nathan Brown.
I had someone come to me at the netball the other day.
No, answer the question,
Why is Damo not answering? Why is Damo keep bringing every topic back to Kane Corns? And why haven't we heard the song for 6 weeks? So, doubly, for those who've been asking for it, we've relit Icehouse's career on the back of this.
We'll have this conversation. He started it. Kane Corns.
Those watching along on YouTube can see Damo's
and I don't care for that, actually. So am I getting Craig Hutchison answering this, or CEO Craig answering this now?
Why did you bring it back to Kane every time?
Because you brought Nathan Brown in out of nowhere. So Kane, so what is that comfortable with you, that he can talk about it on radio, getting paid by Sportsbet where you can wager on the All-Australian team and the Rising Star. And he's talking about it, canvassing candidates, getting paid by a sports wagering company.
Let's deal with the facts then. So where can you wager on an All-Australian team?
On Sportsbet.
Can you?
Well, on wagering companies. Let's go with wagering companies. Yes, you can.
Can you back who makes the All-Australian team?
Yes. I've spoken to people this week who have had wagers on making the All-Australian team. I don't know which outlets.
Well, I'd love to see that.
Oh, okay. Well, for the purpose of the conversation, let's limit it to the Rising Star then. Let's forget the All-Australian. But I've been told today people have got bets on the All-Australian, okay? So let's wait. So will you concede that you can bet on the Rising Star?
So this is a murky argument. So you're... Let me just
hang on. Are you CEO Craig here, or
no?
Craig
I'm just trying to unpick your argument because it's a bit complicated. So you're questioning you.
I'm asking a question.
Who've done a sports bet ad?
Yes, which I was about to factor in.
Are questioning whether Kane should be allowed to do his job given these other responsibilities with sports bet
and talk about it on a radio which is broadcast.
So it's okay.
I'm asking a question.
Okay for you, but not okay for him. Is that what you're saying? Is that where we strip this back to?
I did that ad years ago. In advance of that, we spoke about it.
No,
and I knew it was going to blow up.
Okay for you, but not him.
I'm asking the question, Hutchie. I don't determine who the Rising Star is every year.
I think it's very simple. The rules allow him to be a talent and identity on great content that Sportsbet make in-house on there.
But he talks about it on other platforms.
Yeah, as a media publisher. Yeah. If those rules change, they'll change. They haven't yet.
So you're comfortable with it?
The rules are the rules in life. You just deal with the deck of cards you got. I was trying to put a bit of context here and explain that in the next incarnation of these rules,
you produced Nathan Brown's name out of nowhere.
Yeah, because he has been just the most prominent person that comes to mind. I would think that's his main employer, not his side gig, right? I would think that's his.
He's pretty prominent on Triple M and Channel 9, Hutchie.
I accept that. That's fine. Yeah. I was trying to use him, perhaps foolishly, as an example of the things that they are looking to bring into the rules, right? Which is talent endorsement. But what the industry is asking, and I'm familiar with this because I'm in these rooms every day, is where does an endorsement begin and a talent or content appearance, or even just, in Nathan's case, expertise, end? But
do you draw that line to the guy that you said I don't want to talk about, but I have in this conversation, Kane? Is there a link there with the sports bet? What is the sports bet line? Sports bet has cut ties. What was that line you produced before?
There'll be a set of rules.
They won't feature. Okay, the company is making changes. They won't feature any current administrators or officials. Now, if you want to put the term officials,
well, he's neither of those, right?
Well, if you want to put the term officials in inverted commas,
that's an outrageous argument. But anyway,
okay.
We'll see it differently. All I'd say is this: there'll be a set of rules that come in on January 1,
right?
And we'll just live with whatever they are.
Will we?
We will,
and we'll be comfortable with it.
Well, it doesn't matter. There's no point arguing what you're comfortable with or not. It's just the rules are the rule. I don't know why people waste time about the goalposts. Just understand what they are.
All right.
I've talked about this in clubs versus leagues. Whatever the rules are, you play within. But the
rules change and the goalposts change.
A little bit of colour around the.
Don't get defensive, Hutchie. You made it personal.
I'm not even slightly defensive. I'm just scratching my head at the spots you get yourself into on the sounding board these days. You get so wound up about
No. You have this little mechanism to divert to the little things of stereotyping. Every time we get to a topic you're not prepared to talk about.
That song is triggering for you, I've noticed. It's triggering.
You throwing to it is.
I don't know. This song appears to be triggering.
He started it. Kane Corns. Only because it's my favourite band, or one of my favourite bands, just behind Def Leppard, Hutchie, and it's a song I do like, but I don't now like it anymore. Now, one topic we need to get to today in two different ways, Hutchie, is Spin City. So let's do a more familiar one we might be on the same page with.
On the sounding board, Spin City for Drinkwise. Remember, you won't miss a moment if you drink wise.
So,
if you're going to go in the same area I am here, because I had one on my radar for Spin City today.
Well, do you want to go first? Because I've got a couple of options. One's audio, one's just.
Well, you know how we like to have the we like to take people inside the pre-meetings, right?
Yeah.
The morning prayers, as we called it, the Herald Sun.
Yep.
The pre-meeting is when people get together to talk about how it's going to go out, how it's going to play out today before a presser. So let me go inside the Steve Smith, Brian Cook pre-meeting ahead of.
Well, that's where I was going to go.
Hey, so who do you want to be in this situation?
Set it up, though, for those who don't know Steve Smith, Brian Cook.
Steve Smith's the Melbourne president.
Yep.
He's just
sacked
Paul Guerra.
Yep, as CEO.
The guy he had mentoring him, the highly regarded and well-respected Brian Cook.
Yes.
Is about to be announced as the interim CEO.
Yep.
Even though he's going away on holidays for most of that period.
Yep.
And they're having the pre-meeting to talk about any curly ones. So Steve would have said something like, look, Brian, I think it's important I come across as strong. I'll take the lead here. I'm the chair. I'll just call it down the line. Cookie, do you want some notes? No, I've been around 40 years. I don't need any notes. I'll be fine. I'll just talk from the cuff. It's part of my appeal. And Brian would have gone, okay, well, I don't think there's any watch-outs. No, I just think we'll just be honest, be upfront. Anything you think I should avoid? Well, look, we probably should avoid anything specific about Paul or why he's left or any of those things because we are bringing in an emerging CEO we think is going to be outstanding. So we really don't want to pit their traits against each other. So if we can just avoid that, I think we'll be fine. No worries. You sure you don't want some notes? No, I'm good. I've been around 40 years. And then Brian gets asked the question about, okay, what went wrong with Paul Guerra? And Stephen Smith thinking in his head,
Don't talk.
Don't talk. And Brian, who we love, says this.
There are very few CEOs who come from outside football into football and become successful CEOs in footy. Very few. If I asked you now who are they, you probably couldn't tell me. It's a difficult task to understand the footy culture, and that's why I was brought in to try and help that progression.
But the club has just hired another non-footy CEO, isn't it?
Yeah, well, maybe Steve can answer that, but he's got some wonderful traits.
Wonderful traits.
You hear Steve go, yep. Did you hear that at the end? Just a little was in. I better answer that one right.
Yeah, actually, just to move this off slightly.
Can we just isolate? We'll do this in post. Just isolate the little yip. Give me the last 4 seconds of that double in the little yip. It's the moment when you hear Steve go, it wasn't exactly on the script.
He's got some wonderful.
So there's the yip.
There's the Spin City element of it. We talk about press conferences, media conferences these days, and the lack of quality. I don't want to go into this. The tendency for the senior journalist to not attend is the better phrasing of that.
Yep.
Now, there was a senior journalist in that, and the senior journalist voice you heard was Sam McClure. That is the best question asked in a media conference, not just this year, but for the past 5 years. It tripped up the most seasoned, savvy media performer in football history.
It was one of the great questions.
It was one of the great questions of all time.
Straight to the comparison. And you felt the moment when the ball hit the pad, there was a big appeal, and he realised he was out of review.
There's no review.
You felt it. It was a late swing from Sam McClure. And because Brian's so outstanding at what he's done, he will laugh along with this as well, I'm sure. That was the moment where, because what he was saying was correct. It's very rare.
Yeah.
What Melbourne feels, they've got one that's so unique.
Dan Taylor.
And I have had some dealings with Dan by his stand days.
So you have?
Yes. Right. I think he'll be fabulous, by the way. I think he'll be a fabulous CEO. So I should say that at the front. But the optic of that, it swung late on him. And it hit him.
Got through the gate.
Hit him plumb in front. And then afterwards would have been, how do you reckon that question went on there?
No, not well. When Brian did pose that question, again, I haven't given it a great deal of thought. It's probably a wasted exercise to a point. But when he did say, can you name the good CEOs who've come from outside football, it did get you thinking, didn't it, to a point. And the one that jumped out pretty quickly for me, because I really liked this guy, was a guy who went to, and he caused some carnage internally, externally, in that good business way, Campbell Rose at the Western Bulldogs.
He got a lot done.
A lot done under extraordinarily difficult circumstances.
Campbell.
Well, he actually helped execute that deal. He also had to rearrange the pay structure of the players, which caused a lot of dramas, and in a way that the game would not allow you to do these days.
He would have cracked a lot of eggs in the eyes of many. Yeah. He would have put some noses out of joint to this day.
But ultimately reshaped
there'll be people listening
club.
to us going, no, are these blokes serious about Campbell? I would say, I agree with you. He was one of the best transformative CEOs of his era.
He was never going to last too long, although he probably lasted longer than I thought.
The Bulldogs, probably, their setup at Whitenover was not there without
because of him.
He started that whole,
I would agree.
That whole journey, and he was transformative. In that moment, it's very easy, and I've been in that versions of that moment myself. You don't need to say why. Two things. One, it's disrespectful anyway to Paul, who's a great person, and
there's legal action pending.
Two, there's legals, and three, you can't. No amount of answers are going to satisfy the questions anyway. So you don't need to get into the why. You just say we've made a hard decision based on what we thought was in the best interest of our footy club for reasons that remain private to us. We know and trust the Melbourne fans believe in us as a board to make the best decisions. It's not an easy one. It's an uncomfortable one. We have full respect for Paul, but we believe we're going forward with this. And why and how is not important today. Today's about to tell you about what we're going to get with Dan. Dan's a ripper. He's this, he's that. I don't think you need to get caught in the, back and forth on, well, he wasn't this and we didn't think. And then obviously he says strategic.
And then a narrative about...
Now the leaking's, look at the week of leaking on this. Either side now, you'd presume.
No, both sides.
Yeah, the leaking is just adding up and up and up. And now we're into the upholstery on the chairs at Waverley that Caro had last night. And now we're into the weeds of the leaking weeds, Damo. And that's because of the way...
The upholstery at the chairs. What's this?
Oh, Caro had a story last night that the board had been unhappy that he had been so committed to Waverley that he had ordered the reupholstering of the chairs there in the auditorium to be Melbourne colours.
Please.
So there you go.
Who cares?
You thought Spin City was Richmond too during the week, did you?
I thought it was, yeah. I've never met Shane Dunn as the CEO and meant to be very, very good. But and I understand he's in a difficult situation when he has to now face questions about this mounting injury list, which is it up to 19 now? And there's some quality young players on that list. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing a wider article which was published in the Herald Sun, but it's a bit of bad luck, basically. It's a little bit more than bad luck, Hutchie, surely.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's...
And I understand, this is a Spin City where I understand he had to probably say that in this week of this season. But if it's just dismissed as a bit of bad luck, and again, I know there were deeper conversations, and I'm paraphrasing a very extensive article, but that was the premise. I read it all. I read word one to the word last, and it was a bit of bad luck factored in with a few things.
Yeah, and that was one of the many things he said, but that was the one that clearly got the headline.
Yeah.
And by the way, that would have been one of those blame the subs moments for Johnny Rolfe as a Richmond supporter. When you can imagine how that next day conversation goes. Well, hey Danny, Rolfe here, mate. Thanks so much for your time yesterday and for the yarn. Look, I think we've got some good exposure out there for you today, and you talked to the fans; they wanted to hear it. Danny, yeah, mate, the headline was a bit stiff. Yeah, it's like a bit of bad luck, wasn't it? Ralphie, oh yeah, look, mate, the subs. I did have a word to the subs about that afterwards. That's exactly how that conversation would have gone in postscript, wouldn't it? Blame the subs?
No, but again, this is the quote. We've certainly reviewed and continue to constantly review what we are doing, and we did an external review 18 months ago. We put a whole range of things in place. We are implementing all of those things. So there is a bit of bad luck involved, but we do have a really young list, and it takes a bit of time to get them up to the rigours of training. All these injuries are different in their own way. They're from different causes.
Yeah, I think speaking was
There is absolutely no single point that has caused these injuries.
I think speaking was the right thing to do.
I think he had to, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
he was in a no-win situation, by the way.
People just don't agree with what he's saying.
You can't defend that, can you, as a club? As an organisation, you can't defend that. What's happening there?
It does feel from the outside like the situation's a bit worse than they're admitting to themselves.
Yeah, that's
what do we know?
That's my take on it too.
We just sit here from a distance and pass judgment.
Celebrated the Xander Maguire issue, Hutchie, some weeks ago when he flew to Sydney and knocked on the door like that way. And he actually saw and heard that noise on the door of, we didn't know who it was at the time, and then the door opened and it was Charlie Curnow from the Sydney Swans, having left Carlton to go there as a big recruit. And for some reason, Charlie was wearing some overalls, which looked like he'd put on for the first time that day.
Was it just wearing overalls?
He's closed the door on his time at Icon Park and opened his account in fine fashion at the Swans.
Xander, how are you?
I'm good.
So that's good by Dudley to put that in straight away. It was an ad for Taubman's, Hutchie. It was a lovely interview, very friendly. Xander got the reference and the knock on the door. And he then took him down the street from where he lives, and he's still wearing the overalls and this shirt with Taubman's all over it. I raise it because there's an NRL version of this campaign this week. I'm not sure it was done as well as Xander did it, but let's go with great. Pat Carrigan.
You wouldn't believe Pat Carrigan has the exact same set of overalls and T-shirt and the exact same want to wear the left overall off the shoulder just to reveal the Taubman's logo on the T-shirt as Charlie does. It's unbelievable.
And like Charlie, there's not one speck of paint on those overalls. I'm not sure Pat's used the paint like Charlie may not have used it.
And he's one from a long line of people in public life that are trying to commercialise their dog too. Have you noticed that? The dog's in the shot to make him more relatable.
I actually had not noticed that.
And what about where the arm is leaning, Damo? Did you pick that up in the photo?
on the Taubman's paint can.
And then the cactus, does that look like a real cactus to you? Or does it look like the one they bought in for the photo?
That's the prop. That's the sell the house prop.
That's a prop cactus. If ever I saw it.
That might be a plastic. That might be a plastic cactus, Hutchie.
If that didn't arrive with the photographer who put it there next to the can and then took it away with him, I'll go he.
He brought the overalls, the Taubman's t-shirt, the can of Taubman's paint, and the plastic cactus.
And then Harley's Bar, which is named after his beloved dog. So that is the PR payoff. Who did the story?
Let's have a look.
It's in Code Sports.
It's in Code Sports. It was Code Sports, yes.
Yep.
Code Sports. So I'm sure others did it up there in New South Wales.
Just on Xander, Damo.
Yep.
He just drifts me into an area that I was going to talk about last week.
Yeah.
We talk about, I'm an example today. You talk about trying to learn and get better and develop, Damo.
Yes.
And I talked last week about there's an emerging crew of media identities who I respect are going about audience pinching.
Audience pinching. Can you define that for us, please?
Well, those that try and pinch audiences. And I say this, let me be really clear about this. I am one of them. There are others out there. I see you, the pinchers out there. You are trying to grow audience on the back of others.
Right.
And that is smart in 2026.
Yep.
And I'm going to say that Xander is at the front of the astute wave coming through, who is thinking about how he builds his persona in and around those with existing communities or audiences.
And is this the allegiance or alignment, should I say, with Dan Gorringe?
Oh, that's exactly what he's done. I think he's done a very clever thing. He's gone on there and shown what a great personality he is, how
engaging
he is, what a good person he is. He clearly is going to attract a younger style fan, I think, Xander, because they connect to the way he's going about it, his humility, he's got real talent. You know what a fan I am?
He's a very good talent.
And
outstanding.
But what he's done is a couple of things. He's gone on as a guest a couple of times. I said probably been unpaid. Just wanted to induct himself in that world that Dan does footy community. He's a poster on their Instagrams. You know, there's a topic comes up, he flicks a little comment in, and that is smart business because if you look at his following, it's grown on the back of
has it?
The appeal in that world.
Has it?
And I would put, we saw Tommy Two Peas last year do the podcast rounds, Damo. That was no accident. He did all the, didn't he?
Yeah, as he's contemplating leaving Channel 9 to go to Channel 7, Tommy Morris.
And there's all the old media, as Dan calls them, would be rolling their eyes at the new wave going around and sharing audience with each other. But I think it's smart because it's exposing them and him to new audiences.
Yeah, okay.
He's a pincher.
I like this little topic. Can you stay across this for us?
I'll keep an eye out for the pinchers when I see them. Doubly, can you keep an eye out for the pinchers as well?
He will. And just remind people.
Doubly's a pincher now I talk about it. What about the double agent when the Fireball got sent that song? He chose not to distribute it via the Fireball socials.
Yeah.
He distributed it himself.
That's right, he did too.
He's trying to pinch Fireball's audience. He's a pincher.
Was that the morning he slept in?
No, that wasn't. No. So you're a pincher. Say it out loud. My name's Doubly. I'm a pincher.
My name's Doubly, and I'm a pincher.
There you go. He's a pincher.
While you're talking about Xander Maguire,
have you ever tried to pinch audience, Damon?
Oh, probably, but not as calculatedly as Xander Maguire's clearly doing.
He's smart. It's what you got to be clever when you're coming through.
Yep, Hutchie, just with Xander Maguire, we had a lot of fun about it, and I think a fair few of our listeners did too. So the week it all began with Tom Morris joining 7 alongside Mitch Cleary and Xander Maguire, and how they all breathlessly within 11.623 seconds of each other broke a story supposedly about Steele Sidebottom not playing in a certain game, and then Tom attempting to explain it this way later in the week.
As broken by Xander Maguire and Mitch Cleary and myself, all simultaneous.
Yeah. I don't know why, Hutchie. That's my favourite grab all year. All simultaneously.
It's pretty good.
We had a couple of examples of it during the week with other stories.
Hey, extraordinary amount of tweets and emails and Instagram posts that you and I received simultaneously
from you last week
on the back of the ABC bosses.
We did. Yeah.
So Hugh Marks has said Bluey was a $300 million rights miss blunder. He decried the opportunistic attacks on the ABC, but he conceded the broadcaster blew it. Now,
Hugh Marks.
Mark DiStefano.
Sorry. Yep, that's it.
Has
in the AFR
gone into detail about this, and I'm just trying to pick the relevant quotes, but the ABC have fessed up and said the $300 million blunder, which the AFR have said seems conservative because the BBC studios took £2.2 billion in revenue against it last year. And the first property that was mentioned was Bluey. And the ABC, not so much. So anyway, that's a long way of saying they've finally addressed. This has been an 18-month build here on the sounding board.
Well, you've brought. Look, you never claimed breaking this story, but I'm going to give you credit for putting it out there in the public landscape as widely as it's now become. Is that fair? You going to claim that?
I think Stephen Drill originally broke the story. I read a story that got my attention on this.
That's what got your attention, and you've always attributed that article. It may well have been elsewhere prior to that, but it may not have been. But equally, you've always
built groundswell through our platform. And what is clear is that it is a monster. So what I got shared another podcast yesterday. I should try and attribute that in real time. So let me do that. They said on this podcast that the BBC put in 30% of the spend on the show, but in exchange got all the merch rights and all the global rights. That was the deal. That was yesterday on the Shameless podcast. There it is. So they've gone into detail. So what a giant mess for our, at times, cash-strapped country, Damo.
Now, Hutchie, you mentioned that because at times you've gone viral over the comments you've made about the ABC's Bluey blunder. You also went exponentially viral last week when I'll just read how the Herald Sun reported on it. SEN boss Craig Hutchison has delivered a 10-minute tirade against the crime wave targeting Melbourne's bars and restaurants, claiming the very, quote, soul, close quote, of the city is under attack. That was the clickbait element to our conversation last week on the sounding board over you, highlighting, I feel in a way that had some cut through that at that stage had not yet been the case with the now weekly and daily, so I should say daily, firebombing of bar establishments in city. Even this morning, Hutchie, driving in to do this show, another one in Melbourne overnight in the CBD, firebombed again. And it's not just the establishments themselves, it's the home residences, or resident, I should say, in one specific case that I know of reported publicly of the owner of the bar in question. This is now out of control. This is clearly right now, and you alluded to this last week, this is the alcohol version of the tobacco firebombings.
Yeah, it's off to a horrible, horrible start, if that's what it is. Just
before we go any further, it was unusual for you to use the Herald Sun word. You can have your own say on that word, tirade. It was 10 minutes, and I may have asked you questions that made it go 10 minutes, but I hadn't seen you as passionate about a topic relating to this city ever.
Yeah, I was frustrated for what as a city we're going through, and there were some people that said it was a criticism of government. I never mentioned government at all.
I did.
There were other people.
I did.
Yeah, you did. I didn't.
I'm happy to, and I will continue to maintain that. There's not enough police, and they don't know what's going on.
I didn't once reference, and I've complimentary the police, and then I had another piece of criticism that says I didn't blame anyone, so I was asking the people to rise up, and what are they going to do? Well,
just on that, it was just frustration. On that, can you have it both ways? Can you attempt to isolate a very serious law and order issue with it not being criticism of the government? Because I don't distinguish. To me, this is the city of Melbourne at the moment. It's all in the one story. You choose to, but I'm giving you the chance to explain why you're telling us it's different.
So you shouldn't probably do what I did, which is vent without providing a clear outcome or solution to the problem. But what I was trying to do was say this feels like a bigger problem than everyone's talking about, and why are we desensitised to it? It's a very complicated issue. I've had so many people reach out since last week.
I hate the phrase, but you did, quote, go viral.
But it's good because we need to be talking about what the solution is to this.
What is it?
Well, I don't really want to get into that today. And we are at the end of the time allocated. We're 44 minutes in, but it's a very complicated issue that runs pretty deep, and it's a sophisticated act, and it needs some serious thought from some serious thought leaders. We'll deal with that in a future week. I don't want to get into it today.
You don't want to talk about it today?
We're at the end of the run.
No, we're not.
You got 45 minutes.
Many times I've tried to shut this show down and you then open it up again. And I want to get to Hugo too, so you've got a few more minutes left.
Let's get to Hugo.
Give me one more line on this topic, please. No, I'm not allowing you to just shut it down.
I just have great empathy and feel for everyone afflicted at the moment. It's horrible.
So you're not as passionate about it today?
No, I've done a 10-minute tirade last week. You want to go back and listen to it? I don't want to back over.
Well, will you present a scenario for solution next week?
Well, yeah, I'll cast some thought to it, yeah.
Will you?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that. And W's just time-coded that for next week.
Complicated
All
issue.
Right. So we've gone 40 minutes, I've just been told by W, so we better wrap it up quickly. But we can't do so without introducing Hugo. I don't know your surname, Hugo. I don't know whether you want to give it or not. I don't even know if you want to talk into that microphone. So if you want to, please do all of that. And you are Hutchie's quote, AI man.
Yeah, g'day, Damo. Good to be here. Yeah, so essentially we're just trying to help Sen be at the forefront of the great technological advancement that AI is. And trying to help Hutchie change both his work and personal lives.
I don't want you to be too sort of self-conscious here. And I don't even know whether you want to talk. And thank you for doing so. I'm just more interested in this man who you are walking and tailing and shadowing the entire week.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Yeah, we had a big day yesterday, just meetings all day. So it was.
So do you start at his house in the morning?
No, not quite.
Where do you
not
meet?
quite that much. But,
Okay.
Yeah,
in the office?
Yeah.
What time?
Well, this morning 7:30.
Yesterday?
8.
Yep. And go through till about midnight, basically.
Not quite. Probably like 6 o'clock.
So what do you hope to do, Hutchie? Because I know, just to finish this conversation, in Dallas last year with your mates from around the world, and the topic of conversation really came at AI, and I know you're so keen on trying to fine-tune your own operations.
I didn't intend this to be kind of a public journey, but since you've drifted us...
Hutchie, you brought Hugo in.
So we're working through what works for different businesses and different people. I've got a bit of an abnormal life, Damo, so I'm just looking for more efficiencies in it and more...
It's one word you could use.
And best use of Hugo. Claude is the platform that we are working on, like most, but tell us a bit about some of the things that we're working on. Explain to Damo some of the things that we're exploring.
Yeah, so we're pretty much trying to build Hutchie like full operating system, like with AI. So we want to get him on Claude, using that to help him filter out some of his emails that he gets, and get him using the Claude device that sits on the back of his phone, which he hits record at a meeting.
And Claude linked to Claude?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So captures the full transcript of the meeting and then sends that to AI. AI then goes and generates a full summary debrief for Hutchie.
Within seconds?
Oh, probably 10 minutes. Yep. But then it sends him an email, and then he'll get that, read through it, and forward it to whoever needs to be looped in on it. But
early days, Damo. Yeah. We're just doing some work to try and get some more efficiencies.
Yep. It's a space everyone's exploring, and no one really knows what they're doing in it.
Is there a way we can use the technology to coach a bit more positive or optimism into Damo, do you think?
Yeah, well, it's something to look into. Yeah.
And can we also just attempt to take this show back to its origins back in Series 1, where we just had me and Craig as the voices on it, rather than the three voices that are now part of it? There's Craig and CEO Craig.
One thing that I would say early into this journey that we're all on, because everyone's on it, is the opportunity for better productivity is the focus, right? It's not about saving, the need for people to act. It's actually about making people's lives more productive and more beneficial. So it's about productivity, really. And that's if we've got a productivity crisis in Australia that they say we have. I don't know what we do. We don't. I know for me, I want to be more productive. So trying to get a bit. And I think if you're a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid out there thinking about what your next journey is, and here you go, you're not wildly out of that age group.
Yeah.
The bottom-up youth are going to reshape us, not us the other way around, Damo. So, and I think we've seen in sport, a lot of clubs go bottom-up in younger tech-first thinking. Hugo's generation, I think, are going to make fortunes on the back of their ability to coach the rest of us into changing our behaviours.
All right. Good luck with it, Hugo.
So if you're at school with year 10, 11, 12, you should be just hard in the...
Immersing.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck with it. Not so much from the AI project, but just getting through a day or a few more days with Hutchie.
Yeah, no, thanks, Damo.
All right, so we'll leave it there, Hutchie, because we're clearly out of time. That was episode 14, Series 11 of the Sounding Board for Drinkwise. If you're choosing to drink, choose to drink wise.